my whimsy journal today, my whimsical houses journal, and just applying some gesso. I'd previously gessoed it, but some of the paint from the previous page got on it, so I just added another layer. And now adding some colours for the background. All the products used will be listed in a blog post, and the link for that will be in the description below this video. So cerulean blue, just some blue, pink, a light green and yellow, and probably a bit of white added with it. Now this was going to be a simple page, and it actually looks that once you see it completed, but the amount of product I used on this page is unbelievable for the result that I got. So anyway, just ripped a page out of an old encyclopedia index, and I'm taking the Dylusions Right Up Your Street Houses stamp set and stamping those onto that paper with some Ranger jet black archival ink. Instead of just stamping them on the page itself, the text on the paper just gives it a bit of interest. And I'm using archival because when I go to paint the colour on the houses, I didn't want the ink to run. I find that the Ranger archival is best for that. Having said that, it's not as crisp an ink as maybe the VersaFine. Anyway, so I'm just trying to arrange them, and I don't end up using them all bar one. Yeah, and having said all that, I end up, because the houses have text on them, I end up wasting that piece of encyclopedia paper. Well, I haven't. I've put them aside and I'll use them in another journal later. But I've used them as masks, so when I'm stamping them onto the page behind a house, you can see there that you will see the full outline of the house, of the houses at the front. So I could have gone ahead and just stamped them onto plain copy paper, but at that stage I didn't know what I was going to do. So they're all done now, stamped onto the page, and I'm now colouring them with some Zig Clean Colour Real brushes in various colours. There were that many of them that I just couldn't keep up with what I used on what. And then using an aqua brush to spread that colour out and to give it some shading. Yeah, so that's all I'm doing. So I'll put some music on now until I come up with something more interesting. So now I've just taken an Inktense pencil, one that looked like green on the end of it but was actually mustard, and I used it because it's water soluble. And now taking some jade acrylic paint, the soft jade, and just giving it a bit of highlight, the actual mounds that the houses are sitting on. Just give it some grounding pretty much. And now taking some oxide chromium green just to define it a bit more. And just using an angle brush to get that shading and mixing the dark and the lighter green together. Right, now just taking a Sharpie pen and just painting around the edges of that cloud stamp there, just to give me an outline to paint. Because I don't even trust myself drawing clouds, so I have to use a stamp. Now I'm giving the ground some interest by adding some flowers, and you'll see probably in a minute. Yeah, I do some orange, I think, some red and some yellow. Sometimes I get so involved in what I'm doing that I forget that I'm not on screen, so I apologize for that. So I'm taking a excuse me, a green Stabilo fine point pen to add the leaves and the stems to the flowers. And now I'm just going to paint, well, give the clouds a base coat of gesso. I do add something else over the top of that later on. So now pretty much it's adding detail to the page. And I thought it needed a unicorn. Why, I don't know. And why I stamped it on the page is anyone's guess, because I end up colouring this in and then cut it out and attach it. So I'm using my Prisma Color pencils just to colour in certain areas of the unicorn. I do list the colours of these on my blog post, so because there was only 4 of those, I think, plus a white. Or even 3 plus the white. Can't remember. I tend to create my pages sort of days, like I'll just paint and paint and paint, and then I'll set aside a time to edit and upload the videos. So it's been a while since I've done this page. So there I go, fussy cutting it out. And I start out with the scissors, and I do pretty good. And I think in the end I used my craft knife to go in between the legs there and the other finer details. Just added some excuse me, Aleene's tacky glue to adhere that to the page. Pressing it down with that stamp block just to make sure it spreads evenly. And part of it didn't adhere, so I just took some Scotch Quick Dry and pressed it down. Now taking some excuse me, pearl white Lumiere paint for the clouds, just to give it some iridescence, pearlescence, some shimmer, because you just got to have shimmer on whimsical pages. Now, I don't think I show this, but I'm adding the pearl white to the center of the flowers using, oh, there I go. You are using a jewel-tipped stylus. This is a set I bought from McGill quite a few years ago. I tend to use it a lot. Now, this is a heart that I'm stamping for smoke puffs coming out of the chimneys. And I end up painting those with the pearl white as well. And I'm just taking off that masking tape that I'd had down there just to protect the opposite page, just so I can move the page around when I'm painting the hearts and things. So I've taken some pearlescent emerald Lumiere paint and painting those leaves, because I can't just have shimmer up the top, got to have it down the bottom too. So now I'm painting the hearts. And that was a tedious job, but I wasn't too fussed with it. You know, it was what it was. I don't even think I ended up going around them and redefining the outline with a marker, which is what I normally would do. And now I'm just adding some more lilac to that unicorn before I add some icicles to the body of it, as well as the wings. See, just forget. And that's it. So a lot of product used for a not so detailed completed page, and the photos don't do it justice, that's for sure. But anyway, another page done. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll be back next week with another video. Bye.